63 amazing and unique facts about the Muthoot Group, which I don't think any company or group has more than 20 of this one. We are humbled. We pray to God that we have been given a great honor. We are one of the largest group which is aspiring to grow to the heights of the industries and business in India, and we are all determined to work for the nation as well as work for other nations through our division. Muthoot Group is looking for additional investment opportunities in Nepal, in the BFSI sector, banking and financial services, maybe acquiring a bank or an insurance company in Nepal. Muthoot Group has strong presence in the leisure and hospitality, and it is looking for the right opportunities in the hospital sector also in Nepal, because the hospitality in Nepal has a big future and people all over wants to come here, and we are ready to partner with this country. We have presence in education with outstanding schools and colleges. All of them are one of the best in India, and we are looking for opportunities in Nepal in this division also, because education is most important for a nation than poverty. Education will eradicate even poverty, according to me. Let me tell few things and wind up. Our group has lot of laurels which others cannot. Number one, the pedigree, which I told you, 800 years. Next, we are the number one most trusted financial service brand in India. Our group has nearly 67 crore customers, which is amazing, and 2.5 lakhs customers come into our 5,000 branches in India, which means every year we are adding 7 crores of customers. And the amazing fact is the 136 crores of Indians trust Muthoot Group in all our divisions. We have 20 divisions. We keep all of them in the trust area. We are one of the product. 6 divisions are the largest in India. 1 is the largest in the world. And about our financial banking sector, we are the only banking financing where every 100 crore deposit is guaranteed or supported by 140 crores of gold. I think no bank in the world, sorry to say, I'm not offending any other bank, they don't have this much gold against their deposits, maybe 2 or 3%. And that's, I again thank God, that is only one product on the financial. The biggest thing which we see are we have all these things with the fundamentals of the group. One is the unchanging values in changing times. We have not changed in 800 years, and we don't want to change from the fundamentals and principles. Furthermore, our strong belief in the equation, everything minus God's blessing is equal to nothing, nothing plus God's blessing is to everything. I am winding up because this lady is coming to me. We believe in the great writing, and we believe that we are having 800 of business with 7 fundamental principles of the Muthoot Group. I am winding: ethics, values, reliability, dependability, trustworthiness, integrity, and goodwill. We don't change an inch, even if somebody gives 1,000 crore, and that's why people trust us. And I'm wishing all the best for this country, and under the able guidance of the Honorable Prime Minister and the ministers and the government. And I am sure what they have said, he has said, this is going to be done for this country, and we will all try to come and do business with the great nation of Nepal, which is going to much higher, and I'm sure it will be. Thank you very much. Jai Hind. Jai Nepal. Jai Nepal.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your very positive reflections and all the enthusiasm that you bring along. Said that the only constant today for us is time, and it is of essence as we're looking forward to 2 eventful and very meaningful days here in Kathmandu. And in the interest of time, as I apologize for that, I request our distinguished speakers to kindly cooperate with us and stick to the time allotted to them. Said that, I have the pleasure now of inviting Mr. Sizin Chen, the Vice President of South Asia, Central and West Asia of the Asian Development Bank, for his remarks.
Thank you. I promise I will keep within the 7 minutes. Thank you very much. So, Honorable Prime Minister, Honorable Ministers, Excellencies, distinguished guests, very, very good morning today. And like other colleagues, thank you very much for the hospitality and also for inviting me to attend the Nepal Investment Summit 2019. Actually, I like the logo very much. Nepal Investment Summit 2019. The arrow just shooting up for the meaning of the investment, so I like it very much. On behalf of the Asian Development Bank, I would like to congratulate Honorable Prime Minister and his government for completing the first year in office. I also would like to extend our appreciation to all the efforts in this country for supporting this significant historic changes in the last couple of years. The government's campaign of Prosperous Nepal, Happy Nepali, rightly captures people's aspiration of accelerating economic development in Nepal. This summit comes on the backdrop of political stability and improvements in the economy. Let me also underscore the government's recent efforts to introduce economic reforms and to extend economic cooperation in this region. Similarly, with the successful 4th BIMSTEC summit, progress on the protocol on transit transport agreement with China, cooperation in energy with India and Bangladesh, Nepal has sent encouraging significant signals to domestic and foreign investors. I believe that Nepal is at the cusp of transformation with a great focus on economic and social development. So in my remark, I will focus on the importance of infrastructure investment and ADB's engagement in Nepal. As a leading development partner in the Asia-Pacific region, ADB has supported and also witnessed the fast growth of developing economies of the region. As 2017 ADB study on meeting Asia's infrastructure investment needs found that the countries that grow faster had a higher infrastructure investment related to the GDP. For instance, during 2010 and 2014, China's investment was 3 times of total of 19 other developing member countries. Nepal actually was founded to be in a category of the country with a medium to low infrastructure investment to GDP ratio. Critical fiscal infrastructure, such as transport, power, telecommunication, and water supply and sanitation, are necessary to increase productivity of other inputs used in the production of goods and services, and to provide access to social services. For instance, roads, electricity, and telecommunications facilitated the productions and the distribution of goods and services, including education and health as well. Lack of adequate infrastructure services is often a binding constraint we find to private sector investment, to growth, and also to development. But with adequate infrastructure, we think, the private sector will also find it profitable to invest in businesses, boost growth, and creating jobs. Developing Asia will need 1.7 trillion US dollars each year between 2016 and 2030 to sustain growth, to eradicate poverty, and also to respond to the climate change. In South Asia, for instance, this need is estimated about 8.8% of GDP, most of it in power and transport. As a least developed country, Nepal's infrastructure investment requirement is even higher. Nepal has set a target of achieving the SDGs by 2030. It's a long-term vision for becoming a prosperous country by 2043. It's ambitious. Given its limited domestic resources, I think it will have to rely on, to what extent, the external resources, including FDI as well, to meet its all needs. Ladies and gentlemen, since I came from ADB, now let me turn briefly to discuss ADB's contribution in Nepal's development efforts. Since its establishment, ADB has provided almost $6 billion US in financial and technical assistance to Nepal. The assistance was provided in energy, transport, water and urban infrastructure services, agriculture and irrigation, as well as education. ADB is currently financing 2 national pride projects, namely the Melamchi Water Supply Project and the Gautam Buddha International Airports. In 2018, ADB has provided a record commitment of 592, almost 600 million US dollar through 5 projects in Nepal. ADB is currently preparing a new country partnership strategy covering a 5-year period of 2020 to 2024. So we expected to maintain the record level of the commitment during this period. ADB will explore non-concessional, market-based funding to Nepal to invest in renewable energy projects, climate-smart agriculture, small and medium enterprises facing constraints and among others. So finally, ladies and gentlemen, to conclude, I would like to emphasize that Nepal has right conditions to focus on accelerating economic development. With political stability, Nepal can capitalize on improvements in the economy and address remaining challenges in attracting investment. As a long-standing partner in development, ADB is committed to support Nepal in this journey of prosperous Nepal. Happy Nepali. So with that, thank you. With that, please let me extend my best wishes for the success of this summit. Thank you. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, sir. Thank you indeed for your good wishes, valued sharings, and inputs. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me now to request Mr. Hartwig Schaffer, the Vice President for South Asia Region, the World Bank, for his valued remarks.
Namaste, good morning. The Right Honorable Prime Minister of Nepal, Honorable Minister of Finance, Ministers, Excellencies, Heads of Delegations, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, colleagues and friends. It is great to be back here in Nepal. It's an honor and a privilege to be at the Nepal Investment Summit. I'm here with my colleagues from the IFC, the Vice President Hans-Peter Lankes, my colleague from MIGA, the CEO and Vice President Keiko Honda, and we, as the World Bank Group, are here to express our sense of optimism and support for Nepal, for the new Nepal. Last August, when the Honorable Minister of Finance was in Washington to visit the World Bank, we had the Nepal Day at the World Bank. That's when we got the first notion of a different Nepal. That's when we first heard about the plan for this investment summit. Later on during the year, in November 2018, I had a chance to firsthand see the commitment and the determination of the ambition to reach middle-income status by 2030 of this new government. And today, with this full hall, and I understand there are more people in the overflow room, I think this is a very clear signal that everybody believes that this Nepal is a new country. It has emerged, this Nepal as a new country has emerged from decades of conflict, has gone through political transition, has recovered from the 2015 earthquake and the 2017 floods, and is resilient and on its way to become a middle-income country. We are here today as investors, development partners, officials from other nations to put our resources and our bets behind this new Nepal. And the odds that we will succeed with our resources and bets are good. The people of Nepal are resilient. I saw that in November when I visited Kaikoura in Province 3, that is rebuilding. The government is stable, has made the progression to a federal democratic republic. The prospects of executing its vision are very good. And Nepal, the government is engaging its people through the federalism program, is engaging its people, one of the most important facts, engaging its people in the development of this nation. Growth has been steady. 2017 saw 7.9% growth. In 2018, it was 6.3%, and this year we expect over 6% again. What's more important is that growth that was driven by consumption, driven by remittances, is gradually shifting to investment-driven growth. This is very important. Poverty levels have fallen. If we go back to the 90s, 1 out of 2 Nepali was living below the poverty line. Today, it is 1 out of 7. 12%, 15% of Nepal is still below the poverty line, but tremendous progress in terms of eliminating poverty. So, the prerequisites for reaching middle income status in 2030 are very good. What it requires is sustaining the growth rates of around 7% per year. What is required, and that is what the previous speaker said, is investing more and investing more intelligently in the economy. Alone infrastructure will require investments of about 12% of GDP. So there is huge potential for such investment. I saw that in Province 1 in Barun Bazaar, where we flew over the upper Arun River and we saw the potential for hydropower development. This is why we are here. We are talking about investment, because public sector investment alone cannot achieve what needs to be done in Nepal. We are here as investors to bring in resources from around the globe and from within the nation to the bettering and the development of Nepal. We are here as development partners to play our role in supporting the government and tap into the huge potential. We are here as government officials to continue with the reform agenda, which has already been very impressive. The Foreign Investment and Technology Transfer Act, the PVP Act, and reforms in land and forestries. This will go far, but what is needed is not only to have these policies, but also to implement the policies and make sure that the private sector potential is unleashed. Because if the private sector can do a project, let the private sector do it. If the private sector can do a project with risk mitigation, as one of the speakers said, then organizations like the World Bank Group can come in and mitigate the risk. This will not only save some of the scarce public resources that then Nepal can invest in human capital development, in education, in healthcare, in social safety nets, but it will also bring about jobs that are driven and provided by the private sector. So what are some of the principles that we need to observe in this partnership between investors, development partners, and the government? Well, first of all, I would hope that in this partnership we keep the eye on the ball in the long term, because these reforms are not easy. These reforms will often see resistance, will often see setbacks. So we should not be discouraged if there is a short-term setback, because these reforms are getting to the core of unleashing private sector business. And very often those who are currently benefiting from a more restrictive private sector environment will resist it. That's what we in the World Bank call elite capture. So we need to support the government and keep the eye on the long-term goal. The landlocked geographic location of Nepal is actually a potential advantage, because as one of the speakers said, Nepal is located between two of the fastest growing countries, which are home to about 1 out of 3 people around the globe, two of the fastest growing economies in the world. So with an open investment environment, there's nothing better than in tapping into the potential of working and operating across borders. The government needs to hold the line on the reform agenda, but it's not only important to approve policies. This mind change has to go all the way through the public service, the civil service, because the civil servants have to implement the policy changes, have to operationalize them. They have to see themselves as facilitators for the private sector, as facilitators for bringing in investment to serve the people of Nepal. And we as the World Bank Group, we stand ready to continue supporting Nepal. The World Bank and Nepal have had a very strong and a very productive partnership over the last 50 years, and I'm convinced that over the next decades we'll continue with this partnership and accompany Nepal on its journey to middle-income status. Right now, we have 25 projects under implementation to the tune of $3 billion, and we are putting our money where our mouth is. We'll continue with scaling up our support to Nepal. And I would like us to do this together in partnership with the private sector, the government, and all the development partners who are here in Nepal. Let's recommit to this partnership. Let's make sure that we are doing this for the families in Gaikura who are rebuilding. Let's make sure we are doing that for the worker in Barun who will get a job in the construction site around the power plants that will be built. Let's make sure we are doing that for the girl that is attending school and getting an education and skills here for the future marketplace here in Kathmandu. Let's make sure we do that for all the hardworking and creative people of Nepal. They deserve no less. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you indeed for the acknowledgements that you've made and for your perennial positivism and the concerns that you just shared. Said that, ladies and gentlemen, we now move on, and I have the privilege now of inviting His Excellency Yu Thong Tun, the Union Minister for Investment and Foreign Economic Relations, Myanmar, for his valued remarks.
Namaskar and very good morning to all of you. I have a piece of good news before I start. I have a very long statement, but I'm going to prune and graft and telescope that statement to help you manage time. Your Excellency, the Right Honorable Prime Minister of Nepal, Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I consider it a privilege and honor to address this inaugural session of the Nepal Investment Summit 2019. At the outset, I would like to extend my deep appreciation to the government of Nepal for the warm hospitality extended to us and the excellent arrangements made for the meeting. I'm heartened to see so many officials and business executives representing a wide range of industries, sectors, and interest groups in the audience. This is no doubt a reflection of the growing interest of major companies in the vast investment opportunities of Nepal and countries of the region that have to offer. We live in times of change and transformation. We are at the dawn of the fourth industrial revolution. The new industrial revolution presents us both opportunities and challenges as well. At this important juncture, we need to take stock of the situation before us, the challenging headwinds we have to overcome, and the promising tailwinds that are poised to propel us forward. First, let me turn to the headwinds. Global foreign direct investment is said to have declined significantly in the last year, according to the World Trade and Development Report. That report tells us that global decline is in fact part of a troubling long-term trend. This negative trend poses a concern for policymakers and investors alike, given that FDI, with its potential to facilitate deeper integration into global value chains, has, for many countries, provided an essential first steps towards the development and industrialization. This gloomy global investment picture underscores the importance of creating and maintaining global and national level investment, enabling environments sponsored by open, transparent, and non-discriminatory investment policies. In stark contrast to global trends, Asia today is very much on the rise due to the tailwinds that thrust us forward. The region has gained its position as the largest recipient of FDI in the world. For countries seeking to attract greater share of global FDI flows, there could be no better geographic region within which to be located. Asia accounts for 1/3 of the global economy and 2/3 of global economic growth. We are witnessing the dawn of a new Asian century. This will have a positive impact not only on the neighborhood, but on the rest of the world. I'm pleased to note that South Asian countries continue to maintain the promising growth trajectory. Indeed, South Asia saw an impressive increase in the growth rate from 6.2% to 7.5% in recent years. This growth rate has been supported by stable governments which have given priority to introducing policies supportive of international investments, reforms which have in turn helped to boost investor confidence. Nepal, too, has made impressive gains on a number of fronts in recent years. Literacy rates have increased, poverty rates have fallen, great gender disparities have narrowed, and social inclusion has steadily improved. Similarly, Myanmar, as a result of multi-sectoral reforms carried out in recent years, including the development of the Myanmar Sustainable Development Plan, has achieved a medium human development ranking, which continues to improve year on year. Per capita incomes have risen by 50%. Our poverty rate has fallen from over 40% to almost 30% today. And we have seen trade flows double, just as we have witnessed foreign investment quadrupled. At the same time, the world is facing a new challenge. As we try to expand our GDP based on industrial and services sectors of our economy, we tend to overlook the most basic needs of mankind: food security. I would like to underscore the need for investment in agro-based economies. In this regard, both Nepal and Myanmar have favorable conditions. Myanmar and Nepal are blessed with abundant natural resources, including fertile land and large reserves of water for irrigation. In addition, the use of high-yielding grain varieties in combination with modern technologies can provide immense potential to boost agricultural productivity. Myanmar was once referred to as the granary of Asia. I believe there is great potential for our region to establish ourselves as the breadbasket of the region and of the world. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Dame Norgay, son of Tenzing Norgay, who together with Sir Edmund Hillary was the first to conquer Mount Everest, is reported to have said that the Himalayan region needs more noble travelers. A noble traveler is one who is one more than a mere sightseer. A noble traveler is one willing to learn and explore while being mindful of his or her impact on the environment. I believe the same could be said of investment. We need responsible investors. Asia's Industrial Revolution 4.0 will be sustained in part by those responsible investors. That is to say, investors who do not prioritize short-term returns at the expense of future generations. Through the promotion of what we may call sustainable profitability, let government work in tandem with investors such as yourselves to usher in a new century for Asia, the region, and the world at large. I understand there is a popular Nepali proverb that goes, "Opportunities come but do not linger." So let us not linger. Let us turn small steps into greater strides and take full advantage of today's opportunities, lest not being so becomes tomorrow's regret. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I wish this summit every success. Thank you and dhanyavad.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for your very insightful and valued remarks. Ladies and gentlemen, we take a moment indeed to extend our deep-felt gratitude to our dignitaries and distinguished guests from the foreign sphere, including the foreign investors who have come all the way to Kathmandu to be a part of this endeavor during these very crucial times to Nepal. And also, we thank the dignitaries, the speakers herein, for their very emphatic, constructive, and optimistic gestures reflected in their presence at this forum and, of course, their remarks. Said that, ladies and gentlemen, we are very much pleased to share that in addition to the sectoral several panels which would be participated in by national and international speakers and experts in course of the 2 days of engagement here at the Nepal Investment Summit. We will also be engaging in various bilats, B2Bs, B2Gs meetings, as well as side events that also feature especially the business development forums on youth and women, which come towards the end of today. Having said that, I bring you back to the inauguration ceremony, and I'm very much pleased and privileged now to invite Dr. Ram Sharan Mahat, the former finance minister, also the Central Committee member of Nepali Congress, for his address.
Right Honorable Prime Minister, distinguished guests, including former Prime Ministers, Ministers, and distinguished invitees from our development partners, and a large number of prospective investors for Nepal. It is a pleasure for me to have been invited to speak a few words representing my party, Nepali Congress, and I thank the organizers of this event for this invitation. As you know, Nepal has realized the limitations of inward-oriented economic policy in the early 90s, prodded by our own experience for decades of our own country, and also prodded by the lessons learned from the experience of many other developing countries. We opened up the economy. We pursued a liberal economic policy so that there is space for practically every sectors, including the private sector, non-government organizations, domestic capital, foreign capital, non-governmental organizations, cooperatives, and everything. Because nation building is a big operation, big challenge, which requires the mobilization of energy and resources from all sectors. So that was the beginning of the liberalization process in Nepal, which coincided with political liberalization, because Nepal adopted a liberal political system from the early 90s after a big political change from absolute monarchy to multi-party system. The economic liberalization also followed political liberalization in Nepal. A host of reforms were introduced, and private sector investment, including foreign investment, was made open, even in those sectors which were treated as commanding heights, off limits to the private sector, including energy production and a civil aviation sector, telecommunication sector, which were treated as off limits to the private sector. They were considered commanding heights of the economy, a natural monopolies for the state sector. This was all waived. So the whole sectors were made open to the private investment, including foreign investment. With the introduction of these changes, there was positive impact on the economy in terms of growth rate, in terms of, at the same time, expansion of industrial sector, expansion of our export sector, and all that. But there was a setback after the onset of a turbulent politics. As previous speakers also mentioned, Nepal passed through a very, very difficult period, very turbulent period for almost 2 decades, from later part of the 90s to until 2015, until the promulgation of the new constitution. The period was marked by decade-long insurgency, unstable politics, palace massacre, royal takeover of power, peace process, and the prolonged transition even after the peace process, and the last severe incident, the massive earthquake which took place in the year 2015, April. So these are very difficult times. You must be aware of the resilience of Nepal's economy. Despite these unfavorable conditions, turbulent politics, national disasters, unstable politics, now all that, Nepal made significant progress in the social sector, in poverty alleviation, although the growth rate slowed down after during the turbulent period for almost 2 decades, from 2001 to 2015. We made very impressive achievement in the social sector. As just before, Vice President of the World Bank, who is very much familiar with what is happening in Nepal, I am happy that, ADB and World Bank has been represented by Deputy President, Vice Presidents in this meeting, who have been our long-time development partners, contributing much in the process of our economic development. Nepal's achievement in human development, it is one of the best in the developing world. As you may be aware, the Human Development Report of the year 2010 says Nepal is one of the top 10 performers globally and one of the top 3 performers in the Asian region in terms of human development. Despite low economic growth, Nepal makes a unique case where the growth rate was low, but the progress in human development in the education sector, in the health sector, and in other, and rural development, it made a and poverty alleviation, it made a very impressive progress. Like people below poverty line declined in early 90s from about 50% of the total population now to less than 15% based on headcount survey. The access to economic services in terms of access to road, in terms of access to telecommunication services, banking services, and so many other socio-economic services, Nepal has made one of the most impressive progress. And the World Economic Forum, its index on inclusive development, ranks Nepal in 22nd position among 77 countries. That is why the World Bank report of 2017, I think, says Nepal is a leader in poverty alleviation. Although laggard in growth, we are behind other South Asian countries in growth. But in terms of our progress in poverty alleviation, they say we are the leader. So this shows the resilience, the capacity of the Nepal's economy, because there was significant public expenditure restructuring in favor of the social sector, in favor of rural infrastructure. At the same time, this was also contributed by the large number of Nepalese going abroad and sending their remittance income in the country. That also helped in ameliorating, in reducing the poverty part. But now the challenge is, now we have a new constitution. The election is also over. There is a new government. Now it is time to focus on economic growth through higher investment. We spent much time, we wasted much time in political controversies. So now it is time to focus all the national energy, giving focus to economic growth, economic development, by inviting more investment. Domestic investment is not sufficient to accelerate growth, so we need external investment also. Public investment as well as private investment must be raised by putting a cap on recurrent cost. The public investment, government investment, should be focused on infrastructure creation, particularly in raising the quality of Nepal's infrastructure. Although road expansion has increased from about 7,000 kilometers in 1990 to now 88,000 kilometers now. But most of them are at local level, fair weather, very vulnerable. So the priority should be in upgrading the transport sector. which is vital to economic development. So the government focus should be going there, raising the quality of investment in the public sector, and at the same time, we must invite private sector in infrastructure creation. I am told that now in this forum, a number of infrastructure projects also have been proposed for possible investment, foreign investment. So we have to attract as much investment as possible in Nepal, in not just in public sector. There are several areas we have competitive advantages, competitive advantages in several areas that must be pointed out. First, the quality of Nepalese people, their hard-working nature, adventurous people. They have high reputation throughout the world. They have performed very well throughout the country, throughout the world, in various parts of the world. So motivating them in hard work, raising their productivity is the priority, and make use of this national asset in new investment. The other natural resource endowment of Nepal is very important. That is our big comparative, that is our asset of big comparative advantage. I often say Nepal can be a green energy powerhouse of South Asia, because we have tremendous potential for hydropower development that everybody knows. I don't have to explain it. I recall one statement made by the ruler, the king, long time in Sri Lankan history. He used to say, his oft quoted remark is, "Let no drop of water flow to the ocean without quenching human thirst." I say from Nepal's point of view, let no drop of water flow across the river without addressing, without fulfilling human needs, and without generating wealth. Because hydropower generation does not consume power. It just recycles. So this is a great asset for Nepal. The SAARC has now, we have agreed in 2014, the framework agreement on regional energy cooperation. We have signed agreement with India for cross-border transmission line. Power can be sold out to not just India, to other parts of South Asian region, also including Bangladesh and others, with surplus energy. That is our great asset. The other asset is because of tremendous biodiversity this country has. We can be agro-power. Ironically, more than 2 billion US dollar worth of goods, agricultural goods, are imported annually in Nepal. It is an ironical situation. So the challenge is to raise productivity, and the challenge is to raise, to kias on the advantages and the comparative strength that Nepal has and should be exploited, like the aromatic plants, herbal plants, the tremendous type of horticulture, fruits, high value crops. Nepal's this is a advantage for future in Nepal, with links in the international market, foreign market. We can be agro power. So this is one area which must be tapped and which must be exploited. That is another thing. The other thing, we may be a small country, although our purchasing power, as the right Honorable Prime Minister mentioned, purchasing power of the Nepalese is increasing. Still, it may be a small market, comparatively speaking. But our two big neighbors, India and China, the fast-growing economic powers of the world, contributing significantly to global growth. It is a huge market for us. With both countries, we have preferential trade
preferential trade arrangement with India, also with China also. Nepal may be a small market, but our two big markets with nearly 3 billion population are on our doorsteps. So we want to attract investment with these huge markets in mind, taking advantage of Nepal's resources, taking advantage of our hard-working manpower with low wage. So that is one area where I think foreign investment can be attracted. I think we invite foreign investment. Not just that, we are now the member of SAFTA, South Asia Free Trade Agreement. South Asia has more than 1.5 billion population. So the whole South Asia is one market. We can take advantage of that. As an underdeveloped country, we have benefit of the GSP facilities from the advanced countries for exporting to USA of 77 products. USA has enacted a law in the year 2015 called Enforcement of Trade Facilitation and Trade Enforcement Act, under which, after Nepal's earthquake, 77 products from Nepal can go to USA without any tariff or any quota, tariff-free and quota under tariff-free and under quota-free arrangement, 77 products. With Europe, we have everything but arms. Under that arrangement, we have access to European market also. So Nepal is not a small market. We have access to huge market. Nepal is currently suffering from huge trade deficit. It is about $10 billion trade deficit now. We import more than $12 billion of products from other countries. Our export is hardly equivalent to $1 billion. So to close this huge trade deficit, we need to invite investment from within the country, from outside the country, FDI, so that we can expand our export base. So that is where we have to attract foreign investment. I am sure there will be deliberations in the next 2 days with government relevant officials from government departments who will be explaining to all the participants about our investment policy, arrangement under various acts, repatriation policy, export-import policy, and various other legal provisions which would make Nepal an attractive destination for foreign investment. In the end, I don't want to take more of the time. And why we need foreign investment? We need foreign investment to raise productivity, to raise growth. Without foreign investment, it is essential for us to take advantage, to capitalize on the assets the country possesses. Although there is some apprehension that some domestic investors fear that if the foreign investors come, we will be sidelined, we may not be able to compete. But, that is not the thing. They bring in not just capital, they bring in technology also. With new knowledge, with new technology, the productivity will be enhanced. And there could be local partners also with the foreign investors. That is, I think, that would be beneficial to foreign investors also, partnering with the local investors who would be more familiar with ingenious conditions. So I think that is a preferable mode of foreign investment, following which both sides will benefit in raising Nepal's productivity, in expanding Nepal's market. Previously, when we were inviting foreign investment in the banking sector, people were apprehensive. But with the entry of foreign investment in the banking sector, new expertise also came, new management techniques came, and new know-how came, as a result of which the domestic industry, domestic financial sector also started benefiting. So there should be no apprehension from the domestic side of coming foreign investment. Nepal's foreign investment, FDI, at the moment is low, around 0.4% of GDP, which is one of the lowest in the subcontinent, in the South Asian region. India, it is nearly 2%. In Bangladesh also it is nearly 2%. In Pakistan, around 2%. In Sri Lanka also nearly 2%. FDI investment in Nepal is only around 4% of GDP. So now let us work hard to attract more and more foreign investment, and we can assure to all the possible investors, prospective investors here, that Nepal can be is a very attractive destination. We have another thing I didn't mention is one of the wonderful climate Nepal possesses. There are very few countries in the world which have as pleasant climate as in Nepal. So Nepal can be a good investment destination, even in the health and high education sector, because of good climatic natural beauty the country has. And even outdoor sports, I used to say, Nepal can be a wonderful cricket destination for Indians and Pakistanis to play. Instead of Sharjah, looking at the Himalayas, you play cricket games also. Here we are several cricket stadiums under construction in Nepal, with good facilities of the international quality in Nepal. It could be a good hub for cricket tournaments also, because of the climatic advantage and beauty of natural beauty the country has. There are several such sectors with comparative advantage. We must take advantage of that. In the end, I want to say, on behalf of my party, Nepali Congress, we will extend all support to attract foreign investment. We will leave no stone unturned to promote investment in Nepal, to promote growth. In fact, as I said earlier, our liberal economic policy, opening up the economy to foreign investment, started in the early 90s. We were the pioneers. We started that. We are always for expanding private sector to increase growth and also to move on the path of higher trajectory. As mentioned earlier, we have a plan to reach the middle income country status by 2030. This is possible. Last 2 years, we have achieved a better growth rate, around 6% in average, particularly driven by better weather condition, climatic condition, post-earthquake reconstruction, and better electricity supply. So with more work, with more investment coming, the growth rate must be accelerated. Let us devote all our energy to make economic prosperity, economic growth, prosperity, the central focus. We spent a lot of time, decades of time we spent on political controversies. It is time that we focus all our energy in economic development and nation building. With these words, I take leave. Thank you very much for inviting me on this occasion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Dr. Ram Sharan Mahat. Thank you for your very experienced, enriched, expert, and encouraging views and insights. Ladies and gentlemen, with this we come towards the final moments of the inauguration ceremony of the Nepal Investment Summit 2019. And towards the end, I have the pleasure of requesting the CEO of the Investment Board of Nepal, also the Member Secretary of the Nepal Investment Summit Steering Committee, Mr. Mahaprasad Adhikari, for the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Shivani ji. Right Honorable Prime Minister K.P. Sharma Oli ji, Honorable Finance Minister Dr. Yuvraj Khatiwada ji, His Excellency U Thun, Union Minister for Investment and Foreign Economic Relations, Myanmar, Honorable former Minister for Finance, Dr. Ram Sharan Mahat, Mr. Hart, Vice President, the World Bank, Mr. Chen, Vice President, Asian Development Bank, Dr. Shahzad Nasim, Group Executive Chairman, Manhart Group, International Singapore, Mr. M.G. George Mathut, Chairman, the Mathut Group, India, Right Honorable former Prime Minister, Right Honorable Speaker, Honorable Ministers, Honorable Chief Ministers, former Honorable Ministers, respected Chief Secretaries, Governor, Member of the Investment Board, Excellencies, business leaders, President of the FNCCI, President of CNI, President of Nepal Chamber of Commerce, and other Nepalese business leaders, distinguished guests, friends from media, ladies and gentlemen. I stand before you with a deep sense of honor, privilege, and humbleness to express and extend a vote of thanks at the inaugural session of this Nepal Investment Summit 2019. I believe the synergy of ideas and keen interest of delegates present here in this summit in exploring business opportunity will shape the future of Nepal. The event is marked as an important platform for Nepal to create a shared future for economic prosperity and establish Nepal as a global business partner. Amongst us, we have delegates of around 735 people as a foreign delegates from 39 countries at this event, representing almost 300 companies from the globe, with an objective of joining hands with Nepal on its journey towards its development and economic growth. At this occasion, I'd like to express my gratitude to the Right Honorable Prime Minister K.P. Sharma Oli ji, our distinguished chief guest for this morning, for delivering a truly inspiring and memorable special address. Your vision, your guidance, and leadership surely has inspired us to stride towards a positive and prosperous path. Your gracious presence at this event reaffirms your commitment towards welcoming global investment into the nation. I would also like to extend my humble gratitude towards the Honorable Finance Minister, Dr. Yuvraj Khatiwada, for being the driving force behind organizing this event. Your commitment, your persistent effort, and determination have culminated this successfully organizing this incomparable investment platform for Nepal. On this occasion, on this momentous occasion, it is indeed our privilege to have the gracious presence of Honorable Minister, His Excellency U Thong Ton, Union Minister for Investment and Foreign Economic Relations, Myanmar. Your presence here is an important step and a testimony to your commitment to have partnership with Nepal for a shared economic prosperity and to propel Nepal's economic transformation. I'd also like to thank Dr. Ram Saran Mahat, former Finance Minister and member of Central Committee of Nepali Congress, Mr. Hard, Vice President of the World Bank Group, Mr. Chen, Vice President of Asian Development Bank, Mr. Sajad Nassim, President from Menhard Group, Mr. Muthut, Chairman from the Muthut Group, for accepting our invitation. We are enlightened by your thoughtful address and delighted to see your participation in this summit, sir. I'd also like to extend a heartfelt gratitude to the line ministries and agencies and respective honorable minister, as well as the member of the steering committee, project committee, for their active participation in making Nepal Investment Summit 2019 a successful event. This event would not be possible without the active roles of the Office of the Prime Minister and Council of Ministers, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Industry, Commerce and Supplies, and Ministry of Culture, Tourism and Civil Aviation. And I have been fortunate to work with a team of well-motivated and dedicated colleagues. I would like to thank all the members of the working committee and my staffs and colleagues at the Office of Investment Board Nepal for their tireless efforts. I would like to express my gratitude to all excellencies and representatives of diplomatic mission for their presence. Your continuous support and communication will be critical in advancing Nepal's status as a favorable investment destination in the coming years. I would like to acknowledge the roles of all session chair, moderators, and panelists. We would like to thank you for your valuable and resourceful contribution. The outcome of the session will surely support to accelerate various investment sector policy reforms, as well as the required efforts to make Nepal an attractive investment destination. I am grateful for the support of FNCCI, CNI, and NCC in helping us put together this summit. I thank representatives from the media for their comprehensive coverage of the event, including media partner. Furthermore, I thank Hotel Solti for providing us with the splendid venue and our event management company, the Imagine. I would also like to thank security personnel and volunteers. I would like to express a deep gratitude to all international delegates, NRN delegates, business representatives, and domestic participants for participating in the event. All the inputs and deliberation aired and discussed in these 2 days will shape the future of Nepal. We hope this event provides you the platform to network, seek out new business partnership and opportunities, and share your comments and concerns. Your open and honest feedback is crucial to ensure the success of this summit and beyond. Finally, I am confident that this is an exciting time to turn Nepal's potential into real progress. Nepal reassures to provide you with the necessary measure to turn your investment into real returns. We welcome you to partner with Nepal for its prosperity and to sharing its prosperity. Thank you very much. Dhanyavad.
Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, before we adjourn the inaugural session, we have a very important formality to extend. It's a token of appreciation and a gesture of gratitude to distinguished dignitaries up on stage. I have the privilege of requesting our chief guest, the Right Honorable Prime Minister, Mr. K.P. Sharma Oli, to extend this token of appreciation to our international speakers seated in the dais. If I may request the Right Honorable Prime Minister to kindly step forward, first and foremost. His Excellency Yu Tongtun, the Union Minister for Investment and Foreign Economic Relations, Myanmar. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a gesture from our side, a small craft from Nepal, a cultural artifact which we are presenting to our distinguished dignitaries for the very positive and encouraging gesture they have extended to Nepal and the Nepalis. Mr. Hartwig Schaffer, the Vice President for South Asia region, the World Bank. Now, extending our appreciation and gratitude to Mr. Si Jin Chen, the Vice President, South Asia, Central and West Asia, Asian Development Bank. To Mr. M.G. George Muthoot, Chairman, the Muthoot Group. And last but not the least, to Dr. Shahzad Naseem, Group Executive Chairman, Meinhard Group International. As we extend our heartfelt gratitude to the Right Honorable Prime Minister, the chief guest of this inauguration session, ladies and gentlemen, the inauguration ceremony has come to a formal conclude now. We'd like to request all of you to kindly be seated and request to those invitees around the entrances to clear the way for the departure of our chief guest, the Right Honorable Prime Minister of Nepal. I request the Minister for Foreign Affairs, Honorable Mr. Pradeep Gewali, Honorable Minister for Finance, Dr. Yuvraj Khatioura, accompanied by the CEO of Investment Board of Nepal, to accompany the Prime Minister. Ladies and gentlemen, would like to request you all to be seated for a bit before the departure of the dignitaries. My pleasure to all the dignitaries on stage and the international speakers to kindly move to the Malshri Hall. And to the rest of us, we will take a 15 minutes break. And moreover, to all the dignitaries and esteemed invitees who have attended and who come here attending the invitation for the inaugural ceremony, our deep-felt gratitude for your kind and gracious presence. And yes, we will be back in about 15 minutes or less than 15 minutes. I suggest in 10 minutes, wherein the plenary session 1 shall commence. The plenary session is themed at investment opportunities in Nepal. Also for your information, ladies and gentlemen, we are trending front runner in our Twitter handle. So follow us with the hashtag #InvestInNepal in all these social media sites. And one more time, thanking you all for your gracious presence herein and for all the gestures that you have bestowed. We will see you in the first plenary session that is spaced in about 15 minutes here at this very hall. Thank you very much.